I had this entire video planned out where I was going to talk about non-TTRPGs I wanted to make, but then I quickly realized most of these were horribly half-baked and didn't really have anything more too interesting to contribute with them, to be honest, so that's on the back burner for now. On the other hand, I'm writing a game called Cruciform. It's about cool Catholic church people fighting demons and devils and problems because fuck it, it's Alexander Anderson Simulator and I can do whatever the hell I feel like. A while ago I made a video saying this is what this is, and here I am today to talk about it some more actually, mostly to meander about the finer points of it and talk about where it is currently. So let's start from the top. System basics have been somewhat rewritten. Instead of the old bad and jank, it's now a lot easier to understand what the goal is. It's my dice pool, usually 2 to 3 dice, versus your dice pool, total demon death and all that jazz. Most things are going to be opposed checks. Well, everything is an opposed check, to be honest. This did lead to me changing characters significantly. This is mostly due to reformatting how they look to make it a bit easier to read and a bit more balanced. In some sections, the Lamia, otherwise known as vampires, got turned into the Strix because people kept wanting to have sex with snake ladies. Latin, am I right? Most of the families of Therians, Strix bloodlines, and other oddities just kind of need a blanket lore dump on everything to get a better idea of how they operate, which lore dump is a pretty consistent problem, to be honest, because God, I hate writing lore. But ignoring all of those problems, I added the undead anima-type to play with anything from zombie skeleton to a guy denied his isekai because funny. Strix and Therians did receive a new type of miracle, Monstrum and Mentis respectively, though this does play somewhat into the new method of doing miracles in general, but let's start with attributes. Nothing really changed, mostly just fixing the wording up. Skills are currently in flux. Right now we have the current method of many different skills with a die assigned to them, effectively making characters good at a few things. However, I did write up a much more cut down version of them with a deeper emphasis on specializations, both of which have their merits and drawbacks, and well, Screaming Fire Skeleton.png. Outside of that, Stigmata has a bit more to work with, mostly emphasizing the relatively brutal situations getting your shit rocked leaves you in, but luckily your relics are far more open-ended to compensate, because every relic has a form and a nature, with any of the new vastly expanded armory options being able to be used as a form, with the natures defining available blessings, damage, and power associated with it. I will most likely be adding the Fortisi-tarded system for more esoteric relics, due to being a little Fortisi-tarded myself. I do need a lot more blessings though, more things for relics to be more interesting. Ideally I'll have a list of about 30, but more the merrier in that regard. Gameplay-wise, the drama investigation system have been added, mostly adding a much-needed non-combat element to the game, though it's mostly in service to the combat, as doing well in the investigation leading up to combat means you start with a better beat die when you're in the thick of it. Combat itself has got broken down to more of a nuanced phase system. Morning, daylight, twilight, and midnight to keep the pace of the combat a bit more regimented and less loose. With momentum and combos better described and highlighted, it should help people get into the mindset easier. Even combat maps got quite a bit of a rework, mostly making them a tad easier to understand, as well as creating the Chaos Mapping system, which is formed the heart of my Void dungeon system from Fear and Hunger, to be honest. We rolled up quite a few different little maps, and it works well enough, though if you do get bored, I would recommend trying it as well. Enemies got a bit of a rework though, but nothing too major, just making them a bit more threatening, giving them more tools to play with. And their sins, also just a hump of options for them, well, they need more options. More is better in this situation, especially with something of this scale. Onto gear though, we added a lot more weapons to play with, though weapons have funnily enough not been as major a headache as armor. There are 3 current ways of doing armor, and none of them feel quite right. It feels like there should be some secret option that is everything I need, but we're kind of just winging it right now. Miracles were a bit of a bitch though, but I managed to convert most of them into different phases and giving them more active effects, so I should encourage people to use them more often, though this does also tie into the purity, impurity, and taint system. Well, the current D100 system is kind of a fuck, but a man with a dear girl avatar did propose a 3 dice system with a take the highest to determine the outcome. I do quite like it and will probably make its way in there. Currently though, it's the question of whether impurity, and taint paint are separate values, or are they linked to a single die that can go up and down? As of right now, though, the current goal is very simple. Reformat the entire manuscript into something a bit more cohesive. Work with my art director in a non-shit-faced manner to get the look down pat, and then we do the fun and exciting thing of just writing lore. Like a lot of lore. Man, that's a lot of bullshit to write, isn't it? Fuck. Then we need more stuff. A lot more stuff, to be honest. If you want to take a look, the link is down below, as well as the Innane Thoughts document, which has a lot of the non-committed changes I talked about in here. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe as always. Many thanks to the patrons as always. Of course, Godspeed, good luck, and have a lovely rest of the day.